Hello everyone, it is Barb Techel, intuitive, author, artist, and creator of the Animal Reflections Healing Oracle Deck. And you can find me at joyfulpaws.com, and that's paws as an animal, paws, P-A-W-S. So I am doing this video today to share with you an oracle deck that I received a few weeks ago called the Cosmic Animal Emotional Intelligence Cards. And I've been working with them the last few weeks and really enjoying them, so I wanted to share them with you. And they are by Tanya Castile. I believe I'm saying that last name right. If I'm not, my apologies. But I feel like I've known of Tanya for a while, and I'm not quite sure how, but it could be because I'm connected to the animal world, and so, I see other people like that out on social media. Anyways, her card deck just was released, probably about 2 or 3 months ago. I was away on vacation when they were released, but I was so excited when I came home to my mail to have them in my mailbox. So I wanted to share them with you today. They are absolutely beautiful. I love the inside cover of the box, which I'm going to share with you. There's a beautiful quote in here by Tanya that says, "Imagination is the paintbrush of your perspective, so be intentional with each brush stroke." I just thought that was so very beautiful. And I love on the inside of the box, to me, it's like a swirl, and it sort of looks like a spiral, and the spiral is one of my favorite symbols. So I really connected with that as well, and that has a meaning, which I'll share with you in just a little bit. But what I usually do when I get a new deck is I love to go through each card individually and just, be with each card, looking at, what the animal is or what the image is, and then what the word or the sentence or whatever it is for that particular card deck. And for some reason with this deck, usually I just go through the deck and, that's all I do with it. I just I just connect with the energy of each card. But for some reason with this deck, as I was going through it, there were certain ones that were jumping out at me in that moment. And so I set those aside because I thought, well, I'll share those with you in the video review that I do. So I just found that intriguing, and I thought, what a great exercise for you to do as well with any new oracle deck you get, or even a current deck. A lot of times we pick the cards intuitively, right? We shuffle the deck, and then we just, we ask a question, and then we just intuitively pull a card at random. But I loved going through the deck in this way and having these animals jump out at me. And I didn't dig too deep into, what was the reason for these animals at that particular time that were jumping out. But you could do that, go deeper into, what's the message? What's going on in my life right now? What's being reflected for me in these animals that are jumping out at me? So just a little suggestion of something you can do with a current deck or a new deck instead of doing it the traditional way we do of pulling cards. So I'm going to share some of these with you. These are all done in watercolor by Tanya. And I I really love all the colors. They're very bright and happy, though this one is a little more subdued, but it's very fitting for this image. So let me just share some of those with you. So we have penguin. This was one of them that jumped out at me, and the message of reassurance. And I'll share with you in a little bit. There's 3 different symbols represented in this deck, and they're located at the bottom of each card, and they have a specific meaning. There's also pelican that jumped out at me, and I'm pretty sure this was because I just had gotten back from being in the South in Florida and Alabama, and one of my fascinations, I have this just utter fascination with pelicans. I really could just literally sit on the beach or wherever they are and just sit and watch them for hours and hours. I find they're just so ancient, I think, and just so prehistoric looking that they just absolutely fascinate me. And for some reason, they remind me of little old men. All these little old men gathered together trying to fix all the worries of the world. That's what it reminds me of for some reason, the pelicans do. The image of the flamingo could be because I was just, again, like I said, in the South. But what really stood out to me, did I tell you what? No, I didn't tell you. Let me just first share this. Pelican, and the word on the card is honesty. Okay, so then we have flamingo, and the words on this card are celebration and mourning. And mourning as in mourning, mourning, mourning the loss, the grief, which is interesting to have those two words together on one card, right? But what I loved about the flamingo is normally we see these images of a flamingo either, just standing with their two legs together or one tucked up inside. And the fact that this flamingo's leg was kind of kicked out to the back just really made me smile and just made me chuckle. And I'm just having this memory now. It's actually reminding me of my last special needs dachshund that I had in my life, Gidget. She had this sweet, endearing little giddy up gait with one of her legs. Maybe that's what it's speaking to, a part of me in regards to that. But I just think it's such a fun card. It's just so joyful, and just reminding us to kick our heels up now and then too, right? Because we're here to have fun and experience joy. Another card that jumped out at me as I was going through the deck was blue crab. I just love the blues on this image, this painting that Tanya did, and the word on here is shelter. And I really identify with crab, being that my zodiac sign is in the sign of Cancer. And what I love about crab, that yes, we do tend to go inward when we need time alone, when we're feeling threatened. But another thing I love about crab is once they worked out all that inner stuff they need to take care of, how they jump down like a cat, how they jump sideways, how they just walk down the beach in just such a jovial, interesting way. It's just so fun to watch. The other card that jumped out at me was platypus. I can't recall. I collect animal oracle decks, and I can't recall ever seeing a platypus. And I just love the colors of this platypus, being all in the rainbow colors. And the word on it is self-expression. And to me, that just said so much, because there's so many different facets of us and all the different colors of us, to be every one of those, to be all of who we are. And then lastly is beluga whale and loving. And what I really loved about this image, maybe you can already see that, is the beluga whale looks to be smiling. And I don't know, to me this just speaks about loving ourselves first, and then how much easier that makes it to love others out in the world. And sometimes all it does take is just a smile, just passing along a smile to make somebody else's day. But I love the beluga whale too. They're just such sweet, gentle creatures. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to share with you, as I said, there is a symbol, which I thought was really cool, on the bottom of each image. And there's 3 different symbols, and let me share those with you, it's written up in the guidebook. This is a little bit different size guidebook than I'm used to, more of the square. And this is actually the same size as the cards. A lot of times tarot cards come this size. So it's just a nice different size to have. So let me tell you what the symbols represent, because this is how you work with the deck. So it's based on, again, it's emotional intelligence, and it's working with all the different emotions that we have and healing those and getting our needs met, and how we do that. So the symbol on the bottom is actually, on some of the bottom I should say, is this same symbol that you see in the inside of the box. It sort of looks like a spiral. And that represents needs. And then the next symbol that you find on some of the cards is a hummingbird, which I really love, that this represents feelings when our needs are met, the feelings we have when our needs are met. And I love that she chose the hummingbird for that, because I think most people can relate that when we see a hummingbird, it's just so exciting and it feels so good, and it brings us so much joy to see these amazing little creatures. So I love that that represents the feelings of when our needs are met. I also really, really appreciated and respect that she used the symbol of snake for those feelings that we have, the feelings that aren't met. Because for me, snake is really all about transformation. It's about shedding the skin that we no longer need, that sometimes we just hang on to for so long because we're comfortable in that and we don't want to be uncomfortable. But yet, when we don't work with those needs that are unmet, we can tend to project those out into the world. So let's be like a snake and let's shed that stuff that no longer serves us and just weighs us down. So I really appreciate how she has that broken down. Let's see. Another part of the guidebook, which I really like, is the guided journal prompts. And it says, reflect on the following questions and pair them with you can pair them with the relevant cosmic animal cards. But you can also choose one of these prompts and just randomly pick a card and see what it has to offer, which I've done a couple of times already. Been very helpful. And then it just goes into, each section is divided out by needs, and then needs not met, and then, what's the other one did I say? Needs not met, and needs that are being met. The animals are separated out into 3 categories in the guidebook. So you just have to look to the symbol. So for beluga whale, it would be needs that are being met, and you would go to that section of the guidebook and find beluga whale. I also, one thing I really love about this deck, which you don't see too often, I mean there are decks out there like this, but is the black background, which is so fitting for the watercolor and the bright colors that she chose to use. A lot of the primary colors, I guess I would say they are. So I also wanted to share with you, when I get a new deck, what I like to do is I like to ask the deck, how will you serve me? And I did not expect this card to come up, but that's how oracle cards work, how the universe works, how the universe is trying to talk to us. And so I did that with this deck, and I chose the card. I asked the cosmic animal cards, how will they serve me? And the card that I got was armadillo. And the words on the card are shamed and embarrassed. And then the symbol at the bottom is the snake, needs that are unmet. So I just found that really intriguing because, well, a part of me, and maybe this was part of my ego self, thinking, well, darn, I thought I had all those layers worked out about, times in my life when I've been embarrassed or things that have made me feel shameful. But the truth is, we're always working on that, right? But I thought after I sat with it for a while, at first I kind of took it as, a negative, and like I said, darn, don't I have that figured out yet? But then I realized, we are always shedding new skin. We are always working on layers of ourselves. And this was just a great reminder, that really shame and embarrassment isn't a negative thing. When it comes to our feelings, there is no really good or bad, especially like with the unmet needs. It's a clue. It's a sign to stop and take time to figure out what's going on inside of here. How can I help myself to feel better? So shame or embarrassment isn't, a bad thing. It's an opportunity to, take the time and be with what may be causing that and try and heal that. So I really, really came to really appreciate this card, that's how this deck is going to serve me. And in reality, when I think about animals and I think about shame and embarrassment, for me, the animals have been such amazing, gentle, protective guides that have helped me uncover things that I needed to heal in such a beautiful and gentle way. So I just really respect that Armadillo showed up for me as a way that this deck is going to serve me. And another thing I like to do with decks is I like to combine decks together. So I worked with this deck in that way after I had pulled Shamed and Embarrassed. With the Armadillo, I asked what it is I need to know about shame and embarrassment when it arises. And I pulled a card from my deck, which I didn't bring with me to do this video, but the card I pulled was Hippopotamus and Home. And for me, hippopotamus represents to me how they feel so comfortable. I mean, they're such big creatures and, big, heavy creatures. And yet they're just so comfortable in that really tough skin that they have. And when we deal with our shame and our embarrassment, we come home to ourselves. We definitely come home to ourselves. So that's just another way you can work with decks, and how I worked with this deck that I just got. So I would encourage you to check it out. I am really, really enjoying this deck. Here is the back of each card. I'm just kind of sitting with that now as I look at that. I love the spheres with the birds, and I really love birds as symbolic of connecting us, to the higher self and to the universe, and then bringing that down into ourselves. And life is just this continuing circle. We're just continuing to learn and continuing to grow. And I love the different aspects. There's sort of a circle here that's half finished, and here's one that's half finished. That's what we're here for, is to work on ourselves, to be better versions of ourselves, and to love all aspects of ourselves. And I think this deck, really addresses how we can do that by working with our emotions. So I really appreciate that. And, when I created my Animal Reflections Healing Oracle deck, it was about, working with all the different aspects of ourselves and loving those selves and acknowledging those painful parts in order to heal. And I just feel that, this deck really beautifully can play off of that as well as on its own. So, I really respect and appreciate decks that can go to the depth such as this one. So just wanted to share that with you today. So do check them out. I will leave a link to Tanya's website below so you can take a look at that for yourself. And oh, you know what I'm going to do? Almost forgot. I am going to pick a card for all of us. What is it that we all need to know right now? Or maybe you can have a question in your head. I'll give you a minute there to think about maybe something that you're pondering that you want some help with. And let's see what animal shows up. And if you don't have a question, what do we most need to know right now? What do we most need to know at this moment in time right now? Here we go. Ooh, powerful, powerful animal, scorpion. Yeah. And the message of boundaries. So this is a need. It's got this spiral symbol. I consider it a spiral symbol at the bottom. So this is about our needs. When we think about boundaries, when our needs aren't getting met, a lot of times it's because we haven't established boundaries. We all have our way of being in the world. And if we don't establish those boundaries, we tend to project our pain or how we wish to see things out onto the world and onto others. And that's just like a Scorpio. When they're not in their good energy, they can just strike. You just strike without thinking, and oftentimes we strike from a place of pain. We strike from a place of pain. I've done it. I'll probably still continue to do it. This is a great reminder that when we have boundaries in place of what makes us feel safe, and we're working out what we need to work on, boundaries are a good thing. They're not a bad thing. I mean, you don't want boundaries up as a wall, but we all have to have boundaries to be our best selves and to work within that. So I hope that was helpful. And yeah, if you feel called to check out the deck, please do. And again, I'll put the link to Tanya's website below so you can check it out. All right, take good care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.